Hello, welcome back. Today I'm here to talk to you guys about a question one of you may have asked me on Instagram. The question was, do native speakers really use idioms all the time? So idioms, let's talk about what this means. They're like expressions, they're sentences usually that make speaking something very natural, and we use them. If you're Brazilian, we use them in Portuguese all the time too. And I answered this question in a very simple way using 5 idioms, and I thought I would come here and explain what those idioms mean so that you can start using them too. They're all very simple and very used, okay? So I said, yes, you might think they should cut learners some slack, but just bite the bullet and hang in there before you call it a day. Idioms really are not rocket science. So, yes, you might think they should cut learners some slack. To cut learners some slack means that they meaning native speakers, would go easy on learners, instead of really just using all of those difficult idioms, because when you look at an idiom, it looks hard because obviously they're not using words with their simple meaning. So the meaning of the sentence is different to what the words mean separately. So you have to kind of interpret the meaning, you have to understand the meaning beyond words. So you may think that native speakers should just be nice to learners and should just understand that learners are struggling with so much vocabulary to absorb and so many structures and ways to express ourselves that we keep on having to learn. So they should cut learners some slack, should be nice to learners and make learners' lives easier. That's the meaning of cut someone some slack. But just bite the bullet and hanging there. Bite the bullet means it is what it is, okay? Just accept things for what they are. So native speakers will be using idioms with you. Just accept that, bite the bullet, and hanging there. Hanging there is an idiom I use all the time, like all the time. And it just means don't give up. It's the same as saying don't give up, just hanging there, okay? And you can use it in every sort of situation, everything. So it's something I say to my kids a lot if they're struggling to try and do something. The other day, Dominic wanted to build some Lego, and all the bricks were just in 3 actually massive boxes with so many Lego bricks in there, and he was looking for specific bricks. And I just said, hanging there to him, just hanging there and you'll find the bricks you want because you haven't lost them. And he did find them in the end. So hanging there, do not give up. And then I said, hanging there before you call it a day. I love this one. I love this one. And I remember exactly how I learned that. I used to have a Portuguese student many years ago. I was already an English teacher, and I taught him some Portuguese for about a year, I think. He was lovely and he was English. And he used to say that all the time. Oh, shall we just call it a day? Maybe we should call it a day. And that's how I learned it. I just knew the meaning from what he said. And that means let's stop here. I think we've done enough for today. We don't need to continue anymore. We're done, we've done enough, I'm good. So whenever you're doing anything and you wish to say that you want to stop it now, we can continue another time, you say, I think it's time to call it a day. It's very used and very easy to use as well. We've got the last one I used in that writing. I said, idioms really are not rocket science. So when something is rocket science, it's very difficult to understand and very difficult to use in this case. But I said, look, idioms are not rocket science. They seem difficult, and I'll tell you why. Because you're probably looking at a list. I don't know why you guys do that. You just go on Google and you search for lists of everything you want to learn, and then you're just overwhelmed by the amount of things you have to memorize and remember and absorb. And then obviously that's going to seem really difficult. It is going to feel like rocket science. But it's not if you just look at simple things, slowly but surely meaning you're always learning, but slowly. You're not trying to learn 50 idioms a day, right? And just pay attention to those that are mostly used in the type of English you're learning. So if your focus is British English, it might be, then just listen to lots of British content and you're gonna start to pick up on those idioms. I use them a lot as well when I'm teaching, when you're watching my videos, and native speakers use them all the time. There's one thing that I find very, very important when you're learning. When you're learning anything that seems overwhelming, like idioms, because there are too many, focus on slow progress. So pick one a day and just get over that one idiom. You know, look for sentences with examples. Try to really understand what the meaning is. And then you do the same when you're talking about phrasal verbs and all of those things that make us feel hopeless sometimes because there's just too much to learn. Do not avoid idioms, okay? When it comes to making your English as natural as possible, you really want to be using lots of idioms and lots of phrasal verbs because native speakers are using them all the time. So if you want to feel like your communication is clear and effective, don't avoid those things. Can you speak without using idioms? Of course you can. Can you speak without using phrasal verbs? Yes, of course you can. Do I recommend? No, I don't. I just recommend really listening to as much English as possible because then you're absorbing all of that slowly and understanding that less is more. So do not look at lists. Do not overwhelm yourself with information. Focus on a couple of things that you feel could really help you. So in this video, I shared 5 with you that are really simple, really easy to use, and you can just go from there. So the first one, to cut someone some slack, is the hardest one to understand, I feel, from this tiny little list of 5. So focus on the other ones first. Like hanging there is the first one you should focus on because that's the simplest one. And then slowly you develop your skills in terms of understanding what the meaning is and then later on being able to use them yourself. You're always going to understand something before you're able to use it. So don't try to skip stages. Trust the process, okay? Thank you for watching. See you later.